Good morning, everyone. She is back. She's getting a couple of upgrades, getting two subs, 2 channel amp, monoblock, 4 channel amp. Gonna redo the whole amp and wiring and stuff like that. And I'm also going to dynamite the cab wall. That way it's not gonna rattle whenever he gets these new Gen X's DS18s. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you on a little tutorial on how to do this. I am, however, waiting for the subs to arrive, but I'm gonna go ahead and start dynamiting everything since I have that on hand. So let's get to it. This is what's currently installed. I'm gonna be removing this amp, obviously the sub, to make room for the new system. I'm gonna go ahead and dynamite this whole wall from left to right and then take this off. We're also gonna do a 4x6 replacement from DS18 as well. I already did the DS18 speakers in the front, which I'll show you what that looks like right after this video. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and remove this, prep everything for the new system, and run new wiring. I'm gonna start off by taking off the factory, or the one that was in here before. I'm gonna go ahead and redo this. Whoever installed this fog light kit, this is definitely not something I do, so I'm gonna go ahead and secure that. This cannot be just bouncing around right here, so hopefully it's decently ran at least. But anyway, this ground as well just kind of comes off. Definitely can't have that either. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, pull the power wire, and then make room for the new one. This was going to the Starliner headliner deal. This was done somewhere else. Pretty much drilled a hole right here so the water can kind of just enter, cause weird issues. It's going through the switch right here, so not sure what's going on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, and then pretty much I'll have to rewire it back whenever I finish the installation. I went ahead and pretty much taken off the RCA, and the only thing you're going to be leaving in here, since I did this install before, I'm going to go ahead and leave the remote wire, run the 6-channel RCA, and then pretty much rewire this part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these speaker wires. This is where the amp is going to be going as far as the output from the 4-channel. So it's going to go from the 4-channel directly to these. So you're going to cut this. That way it'll feed amp signal wires straight to the speakers itself. I went ahead and took off the climate control just to kind of make a little bit easier maneuvering all the wires that's going to be going in here, because there's going to be RCAs going through, and then it's going to shoot down right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get other things more taken off as I go. Other than that, that's pretty much where we are so far as we wait for more parts to arrive. I pretty much got the old amp and sub removed. That way the owner can sell it and recoup some of the money. I did notice that somebody had a little bit too much fun with a Dremel or a knife or something, because that's not a very clean cut. So that's not something I would do. Obviously I didn't do that one, but I'm gonna go ahead, and I ended up taking off the door seal as well, and the kick panel cover deal. And then obviously we are pretty much ready to get everything ran. I did take off the amp wiring kit as well, so that's already taken care of. So I'm gonna shut down for now, wait for FedEx and UPS to arrive and bring me some of the parts that I need. But for now, this is where we are. On top of the fog light switch being cut, kind of not so good looking, that's for the Starliner. So just to kind of give you an idea. We're moving on to the inside part. We do have to take this off. We need to take this off, and then we still need to dynamite the whole cab wall. That way it's not going to vibrate like crazy, or else you'll hear that noise. So the Dynamat is definitely going to be necessary for this install, but be careful taking this off. Use a plastic panel removal tool and kind of just slowly work your way from left to right, because these are notorious for breaking. So just kind of be careful taking that off. Once we get that off, we're going to take this carpet off and then put the Dynamat behind it. The most stressful part of this whole install would be this part. That piece tend to break because these clips hold on really tight. So what you have to do is kind of get you one of these, and then you have to squeeze in between and kind of just like slowly work your way out. Now the panel, I prefer for it to release, which it did. Some of the clips in here are still here, which I actually prefer that way. Easier to take this off than breaking the actual arm that goes into these locking clips. So pretty much I started pushing everything out. All the clips that stayed except for one, I already pushed them in, and I'm going to use a magnet to fish them out, because it is kind of a pain trying to take this off towards you. It's just easier to kind of push it in and then get it with a magnet later on. So we're going to put that aside for now, and then you're going to take off 2 screws to release this side panel, both sides, and then this whole area pretty much is ready for Dynamat. Now you're still going to have, like, I believe these are push clips. Yeah, it is push clips. Basically you have to push this clip in the middle right here, and that would release the locking mechanism from the back, and then you'd be able to kind of just slowly work your way out, just like that. Once you get those clips out, like I said, you still need to fish with a magnet to get all those out, which I'll do later on. Take off the 2 Phillips on both sides, and then on both sides as well, take this door sill off. That way we can pop this cover off out of here. And as you can see, it's already accessible for the Dynamat to be installed. Now we're going to clean all of that. That way the Dynamat sticks real well. You can use a Purple Power on a rag, anything just to kind of get all these dust off, and then just kind of let it sit here, kind of warm up a little bit. The Dynamat does require at least negative or 60 degrees to 70 degrees to stick well. So far right now it's about, I don't know, 50. So I'm just gonna let it sit outside, kind of warm up a little bit. The sun is still kind of rising since it's still kind of early here today. But let's go ahead and take this off, both sides. That way we can prep the 4x6 to be replaced. Same deal with the center cover. All it is nothing but clips to hold it, with the exception of the 2 Phillips screws. Now just be careful with these ones as well, as they tend to break. As you can see, I got it all out without breaking anything, but I do have to work these clips out with the panel remover, kind of just work them out slowly. But for now, we're going to put everything in the back. That way we don't damage anything or accidentally step on anything and damage it. So here we are so far. So that is pretty much ready for Dynamat. And then the 4x6 is ready to come out as well. I'm going to go ahead and take that out now, since the 4x6 I believe arrives tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and Dynamat today, and pretty much taking care of this part. To remove these speakers, you have to press on this tab, kind of squeeze it, and then pop it off. It's going to be kind of in the hook system. Pull it out, and then just depress this part, and that's how you remove the speaker for the rears. I'm going to go ahead and secure that, since it's not really zip tied or anything like that, kind of bouncing around in there, which we can't really have when we have these subs in place. But so far everything is out. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down real quick, just to kind of clean the dust off and things like that, and then start Dynamatting. Now don't forget to fish the clips that I told you earlier. So it's a lot easier this way than trying to release the cover while this thing is still attached to the leg that holds it in place. So this is how I found it easy. You can do it however you desire, but I mean, like I said, I didn't break anything, so that's a good thing. So I already got everything taken out, and then I'm still fishing out some of the ones that were in this side. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down real quick. I just use a glass cleaner. That's all you really need. The main thing you have to do is take off all this dirt, grime, and dust and things like that. I just have an old microfiber that I'm gonna throw away anyway, so I might as well use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and douse it and let it sit for a second, wipe it down, and pretty much start applying the Dynamat after that. So, because right now this is pretty dusty, as you can see. Can't really have things like that trying to make Dynamat stick. That'll be almost impossible. Getting all that dirt out, letting it sit for a second, and then wipe it all down. Got everything wiped down. I also wiped down the bottom piece where the box is going to be sitting on. I'm going to go ahead and Dynamat that as well. But as you can see, just knocking off the dust made a big difference. So I'm going to let it sit for a couple of hours here just to kind of get it to warm up and then start applying the Dynamat. We got a couple of things that arrived. This one's the sound deadener, the seal for the subs. Since the box is Rhino lined, this is what's going to prevent any air leak that's possible with those Rhino line deals. 6-channel RCAs, and then the speed wire to run from the amp outputs to the speakers themselves. So, but for now we're going to go ahead and Dynamat the car or the truck just to kind of get it rolling, and then we're going to run the power wire for the amp and get that ready. Now that I wait a few hours, it's pretty much dry. That's what you want. You don't really want this thing to be kind of wet to where it doesn't stick right. Just make sure you wear gloves when you handle these. Apparently these are cancerous material, so you don't really want to get that directly on your skin. So if you want to wear gloves, feel free to do so. If not, that's on you. Got the first layer mounted. You're gonna need one of these roller just to kind of work your way up and down to the nooks and cranny. That way it'll also help it stick in there very good instead of just using your hand. These are pretty cheap. I think I paid like 10 bucks for this medium one and a small size for tighter areas, but this definitely comes in handy when you're doing something like that. So invest in one if you're going to be doing a lot of these, or just invest in one just to do it the right way the first time. So as you can see, it kind of helps make it stick there properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick a lot more and then keep on moving. We are halfway done with the Dynamat. Already got the flooring, that side where the new speaker is gonna be, all the way up. And pretty much we are halfway done. It's kind of getting dark a little bit. It's about, I think, 6 o'clock. So it is getting close to dark, so I'm gonna try to hurry up and get this side done. It is now 8 o'clock. Definitely time to go inside. I pretty much got everything Dynamated all the way from top to bottom, even the one on the floor. So both sides are pretty much done. So it's time to shut down. Now before I end the video, this might be tempting to shut off or put a Dynamat over. Please do not do that. What this does is relieve the pressure whenever you close the door and all the windows are closed. This would relieve pressure, that way you don't pop your ears. As you can see, it has like a little flap. That's what it does whenever you close the door. This would open and then releases the pressure, so definitely don't cover that up. And this is the end result right here, fully Dynamated. We are on day 3. Finally the box arrived from being ordered. Also the amp kit, the speakers, the 4x6 I believe, and the sub and 2 amps are arriving today from UPS, so I'm waiting on that as well. I've noticed there's damage right there, so we're gonna go ahead and unbox everything just to make sure no issues and things like that. Always document things like these whenever you open them, especially from being handled carelessly at times from the shipping company, but hopefully that's nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just unbox it and then double check everything. I'm pretty impressed on how these things are wrapped during shipping. So I definitely give kudos to the company that makes these boxes. As you can see, it's all got protection on all edges, from the front to the back to the sides, all around. So definitely give them a thumbs up for that one. The box looks pretty good. You do have to transfer over the emblem and screw it in there. They did provide some screws, so that's good. These ones, normal screws, shouldn't be too bad of a deal. Just make sure you put, it even comes with a little foam right here, so it'll seal pretty good. But other than that, make sure you pre-drill the holes before you even screwing it in, just to kind of prevent it from cracking. But this one itself just screws on to the front, and it's already pre-drilled as well, so that's pretty good. Like I said, I went ahead and pre-drilled the holes first with a smaller drill bit, and then obviously slowly do it. It'll seal on its own since it has foaming already, or surround, so you don't really need to add anything else. That's pretty nice. So both sides are pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and mount the logo in between, and that should take care of the box portion. I went ahead and put the carpet back in place, mounted this cover right here. I'm still waiting on the 4x6s so I can put the panel back on. However, I'm gonna put the box for now just to see how it looks and make sure everything fits. I'm not sure if I have to cut that bolt out, but if I do, then I have no choice but to cut it off, which won't be a big deal. But here's what it looks like, all dynamatted. So it's a lot better. So let's go ahead and kind of test fit the box and pray everything fits. All right, it looks like I do need to cut this bolt or stud off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my cutter and then get that thing taken out. Finally got the piece that needs to come off cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss the box in there just to make sure everything else fits. Be careful, it will be hot. Box fitted, sure does look good in there. So as you can see, you do have to take off that bolt like I mentioned. So for now, we're gonna wait till the 4x6s arrive before we can even continue, because I want to go ahead and put these panels back on and the panel that goes here, because we can't put the middle one without putting the side panels on. But obviously we can't put anything back since we don't have any speaker in there for now. So for now, we're gonna shut off and then wait for the 4x6s, and then I believe it's supposed to arrive tomorrow. Hopefully it arrives today. UPS shows supposed to be here, but you know how that goes. UPS finally came through, finally arrived. It's almost 7 o'clock at night. Finally got the amp, the subs, and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbox it, check it all out, and show you what it looks like. So what I'm gonna do today is to pretty much just get this thing situated. As you can see, I soldered the speed wire to the adapter harness, just the speaker side, and also the remote wire, because I'm going to be using the remote wire that's built into it to go to a relay and power all the LEDs and the amps. But everything else is pretty much normal power stuff, and then the bypass. So I'm going to go ahead and use Tesa tape to wrap everything up. We're going to also run the RCA and the power wire for the battery and the amps. I currently don't know where I'm going to route it yet, so I'm just going to run it to the firewall and close to the battery, and then plan it whenever the 4-channel amp arrives. Here is the finished and pretty much ready to go harness. It's Tesa taped, covered, and I went ahead and tied the RCA in here temporarily. That way I can run both of them to the radio location. And I'm going to go ahead and run the 4-gauge power wire while we wait for the 4x6 and the 4-channel amp. Finally received and delivered the micro amp for the door speakers, and also the 4x6s. So I can put this in real quick, put the panels back together, and then mock up where I'm going to put all the amps and things like that. So let's get to it. Got the 4x6s done, both sides. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting everything back together. That way we can kind of create a little amp rack deal and mount it up top. So yeah, that's what it looks like. 4 screws. If you do need to know which one is positive and negative, you can just go ahead and go to the plug, and then that'll kind of reveal which one is positive and negative as far as the speaker signal or polarity. But other than that, let's go ahead and put the panels back on, put the middle piece, and then start to try to brainstorm on how to mount the amps. So I'm just kind of chugging along with this one. I got the wires pretty much zip tied along the harness. Here's the 9-wire conductor and the RCA, and here's the 4-channel or 4-gauge amp wire, so they are separated. I did mount the fuses right here, and they are going up. I haven't hooked up anything yet for the amps yet, so I'm just kind of still distinguishing the length that I need. I still need to like fully cut it and then screw it down, but for now I'm going to shut down for now. The 4x6s are done, everything is put back together, so we are moving along quite pretty good time. It's just starting to get hot, but I did decide to do the ground in one of these bolts right here. So we're going to be using the seat bolt. The other guy had it right here, so I had to put back all the screws since they are big holes. But yeah, this is how the amps are going to be mounted, just to give you an idea. So it's going to have plenty of room, plenty of space for everything to go in. Day 5 of this build, we're going to go ahead and mount the amps, wire everything up, get everything prepped. I'm still waiting on the LED rings for the sub itself, which I believe arrives today or tomorrow. Couldn't remember, but I'm going to go ahead and clean up all these, install some wire ferrules for the power wire, show you what they look like. Here's the ferrules, and also I'm doing ferrules for the smaller wires. These are pretty cheap, just to kind of make it look a little better, and it doesn't smush your wiring. So you can kind of take it in and out whenever you need to, but invest in one of these. You don't have to be ridiculously expensive, but these just work just fine. So let's go ahead and pretty much start off with the with the mono amp, and then we'll do the 4-channel after. Here's what the process so far. Let's go ahead and loosen everything up, and then we're going to be using ferrule wires as well for the speaker wire, just to kind of make it look aesthetically pleasing. So you can see it already does for the power wire and the ground. So just gonna go ahead and prep all of these wires. As you can see, I already twisted them just using a screwdriver, just to make them look nice. So it's gonna look like that. But here's the progress so far. We're still kind of cleaning up all the wiring. Already got the 4-channel done up. Got the mono block mounted, secured. RCAs are kind of running to the back, and then leading to the back of it. They're all dropping in there, that way you don't see them. Here's all the fuses. Pretty cool setup right here. Now you might be wondering what this is for. Adding some LED rings for the sub. So this is going to be the power and ground for it, which I am waiting on to arrive, I believe Saturday. Hoping today, but I already ran it to the front. So this is what's going to be supplying power to that whenever that time comes. So, but for now, I have everything secured. Gonna go clean up a little bit more, and then pretty much seal the deal on this one. For the ground, I ended up using one of the seat bracket bolts. It's an inverted Torx, so you're gonna need one of these, this type right here. We're gonna go ahead and prep it. Basically just sand this portion, that way it's going to be direct metal to metal contact. That's the best ground source. You're going to need one of these wire wheel brush deals. They're pretty cheap on Harbor Freight, so go get you one. This is the proper way of doing the ground. I just realized that the opening is a lot bigger, so when I try to just mount this, it doesn't work. So I went ahead and got a washer. That way the wire itself is going to get sandwiched in between the bolt and the washer. We've got the ground situated. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the engine bay and do the fuse for the power wire, and then put the radio back, test it, make sure it turns on. And we're, like I said, we are still waiting for the LED rings. Here's the power wire so far. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the bolt. You will also need one of these adapter deals if you are doing an amp and sub. The fog lights I did not do, but I just went ahead and zip tie it. That way it's not dangling all over the place. So yeah, this is the one that I'm gonna tighten right now, and then run a couple of zip ties just to hold it in place. We're gonna go ahead and mount the radio back. Now when you plug the RCA, obviously match the front, rear, and sub. You're gonna match it with how you hooked it up to the amp. Basically the front left, front right, whichever color it is, to match the amplifier inputs. That way you can fade it. The sub don't really matter. It could be either or, but when it comes to the 4-channel, you want it to correspond with the 4-channel amp. I didn't even realize that the negative terminal was so loose. That's where they had the negative terminal connected. Apparently nobody was going to let the owner know that the terminal was stripped and so loose that it barely holds on. So I went ahead and replaced it with an aftermarket one, the same way as the power. So now I'm going to go ahead and charge it real quick, because apparently this one was so loose that it was draining the battery. Finally, the last piece to the puzzle, the 10-inch LED rings, so we can finally mount the subs. That's kind of what I've been waiting on for quite a while, at least 6 days. So this is pretty much the last piece of the puzzle. We still need to clean up everything up and make it look presentable for the customer. So far everything is pretty much mounted, secured, not going anywhere. The seat will be wedging this up like that, so that's what's going to hold it up in place. I made it to where it extends, that way it hits the seat first before touching the sub, which I don't really want these sub excursions to be hitting the back seat like that, because that's going to get annoying real quick. So let's get to it. For the LED rings, it looks like you can only choose one color. So obviously red, green, and blue, and then you have the black, which is ground. So I'm assuming whichever you decide on will be the color of the rings. So the customer wanted blue, so that's what we're going to use. To get this thing mounted, you're going to go ahead and kind of line everything up. Pre-drill all the holes so you know where the screws are going to mount, because this is an oversized hole, so this thing doesn't line up perfectly, so you kind of have to move it around just so the holes would touch or drill to a actual wood piece. So that's what I would recommend, is just to have a little clamp right here and pre-drill all the holes. I went ahead and put Tesa tape. And got the blue and black ready, since that's what the customer wanted as far as color. So we're going to go ahead and mount the first sub and see how it looks. Time to wire this up to 1 ohm and mount it in the box. I got these subs pretty much wired at 1 ohm, just kind of double checking it. As you can see, 1 ohm, and I'll attach the picture on how to wire that up. I ended up having to extend the LED wire, that way it'll reach all the way to where the wires are, which are these. So this is going to be the LED wires that's going to be powering it up. I did drill to the side, which is sealed as well. That's the LED wire. And then on the other side I drilled under, that way it's kind of tucked in, out of sight. Here's the LED wiring all tied in. Gonna tuck it in the back right there. That way you never even see it. I went ahead and add a switch, that way he can turn it on and off. This is for the LED ring, wired to ignition only to get power, that way he don't accidentally leave it on and drain his battery. But I did not do any of these two, which is kind of like a hack hole. But yeah, right now there's no power since the truck is not on, but the only time it will get power is if the truck is on. It is officially done, and as you can see, there's a lot of dirt, which I will vacuum everything out. The other side is pretty much done up as well, so a lot of dust from the drilling. Here's all the wires, kind of just like tucked in there. Here's all the wiring. Before I call the customer for the pickup, gotta kind of dust it off a little bit.
speakers.